If you're going on a cruise, there's one day that you need to plan for that most people don't think about. Disembarkation Day has changed even over the last year or so. In fact, there's a new tip that I just used on a recent cruise that made my day better and stress-free. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. I hate to think about Disembarkation Day, but I have to tell you, there are some ways that pro cruisers or repeat cruisers are using to make that day better. And there are some new tips that I just tried out on a recent cruise that I am going to share with you. Now, I even made a mistake that I often warn people not to make, so I'm going to share how that went and what I learned from it. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Number one, ensure that you have removed everything from your safe. Now, pro cruisers have a little tip as to how to make sure that you have actually emptied out your safe. So I'm going to share with you two great tips. One of them is to actually place all of your items into a large Ziploc bag when you do put your items in your safe on embarkation day. So this includes your passport. This might include your medication. This might include your car keys, your jewelry, and other very valuable items. Now, I actually know somebody whose child actually left their glasses in the safe, and when they were leaving the next day, she didn't realize that they were in there and they forgot his glasses. Now, unfortunately, she never did have them returned, even though she had reported this to Lost and Found once they got off the cruise ship. Now, the other tip is to actually place a shoe that you will be wearing on disembarkation morning into the safe, and this way you are going to ensure that you do remove all items from there. Number two, check your breakfast options. Now, we have made the mistake of sometimes leaving the cruise ship on disembarkation morning and thinking, gosh, it's such an early morning. By the way, you have to usually vacate your cabin by about 8 a.m. And we've said, you know what, we're going to grab breakfast once we're off the ship. But truthfully, it can take about an hour to get off the ship from the time that you leave your cabin until you go and pick up your luggage, until you get out of the cruise port and maybe to your parking or to get into an Uber. So we've learned that it's actually better to plan for breakfast of some sort while on the ship. So here are your options and a couple of things to watch out for. So firstly, take a look at what are your breakfast options that are available. Sometimes the main dining room is going to be open, and a lot of people don't know that. Why not bring your luggage with you or your carry-on items to breakfast and then leave straight from there? Now, the other alternative is the breakfast buffet, but be very careful because the hours are often limited. So do check on that. Now, a tip that I've used before is I've gone down to the little cafe, I've picked up some coffee and some pastries, and we've just eaten in our cabin as we put some of our last minute items away. Get off last on purpose. Now, there are times that you might want to be able to leave the ship as soon as possible. Maybe you have an early flight or you just want to get home quickly. But if you don't have any big plans, you can sit back and relax. We have done it before when we were staying in Florida for a little while. We thought, you know what, we'll just hang out at the buffet or even outside of the pool area for a little while. You'd be surprised that there are a few hundred people that are waiting it out, and we were able to get off the ship closer to around 10. Now, this is not good advice for every time you take a cruise, but there are times that waiting until a little bit later and the crowds die down is going to make it easier when you disembark. Now, I am going to share with you that new tip that I just tried. I think I'll be using it as often as possible, but first I did want to share some common things that are often asked about. So self-disembarkation versus traditional or assisted disembarkation. Which should you do? Now, we actually do both. Now, what is assisted disembarkation? It simply means that you'll place your luggage outside of your cabin the night before the last day of the cruise. And if you choose to take your own luggage off the ship, this is often referred to as self-assist. Now, I have a couple of tips if you do want to walk your own luggage off the ship. First of all, if you have carry-on only, this is going to be easy for you. But if you're like me and sometimes you're packing a larger suitcase, there are some things that you could do. We have noticed that if we're on a cruise ship that has those smart elevators, that it is much easier to get off the cruise ship and not have those big crowds at the elevators. So that includes MSC cruise ships. This includes the newer Princess cruise ships and some of the Carnival ships as well. If you know any specific ships that have those smart elevators, please do let me know down in the comments below. Now, the other thing that you could do is you can actually take the elevator up and then down. But that's another way to make sure that there is room for you and your luggage. And of course, if you can carry your luggage down the stairs, which I have to say there have been times that we've had to do. Now, by the way, if you're planning a cruise and you want to make sure that you are organized and that you do not forget a thing, I do have the LifeWell Cruised Ultimate Cruise Planner. Now, the LifeWell Cruised Ultimate Cruise Planner is a 47-page downloadable printable cruise planner that you could use to plan every aspect of your cruise from embarkation through disembarkation, packing lists, and more. And since the LifeWell Cruise Planner is a digital download, you can print out only the pages that you need for as many cruises as you go on. Now, I'll leave all of the information about the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner linked down below in the description of this video in case you do want to check it out. Pack a debarkation day essentials bag. So of course, this includes making sure that you did leave out clothing and shoes for disembarking, but you'll also want to pack some other essentials. What are the things that you're going to need? Toiletries, maybe your iPad if you are flying and you want to make sure that you have some things downloaded. By the way, little tip, if you have cruise ship Wi-Fi, download some of the shows that you might want to watch on the airplane. Download them while you're still on the cruise ship Wi-Fi. Now, other essentials to make sure that you leave out and pack in that debarkation bag include medication and of course any valuables you have as well. Debarkation day flight tips. Now, this is the little secret, the little new tip that I tried that I think is really, really good. I'm going to use it again. But firstly, when should you book your flight? People often ask, well, make sure that you do book your flight usually after about noon. Now, it can vary depending on the airport and on the disembarkation port, but you do want to usually allow about 4 hours from the time that the cruise ship arrives to when you do need to get to your airport. Now, what happens though if you have booked a late flight? What can you do? Well, you can book a cruise line excursion and this way they can actually store your luggage. So this is an idea. But what if you feel a little bit tired? Well, something that we did is we booked Resort Pass. Now, just to let you know, this video is not sponsored, but I was looking for some options because my flight was at 6 p.m. and we were getting off the cruise ship around 9 a.m. I decided to book a day room at a hotel that was close by to the airport that still had a pool so that we could relax and that also had an on-site restaurant if we did want to have a bite to eat for a late lunch. Now, while I'm not sure that I would necessarily book this same hotel if I was staying overnight or for a longer stay, it was honestly just perfect for a few hours during that disembarkation day. And it did come with a free shuttle to the airport. So not only was it convenient, but it did save me money. Avoid Uber and taxi scams from the cruise terminal. Now you have a couple of choices. You could either book the cruise line transfers that are going to bring you to the airport or sometimes into the city center. But that isn't necessarily the most cost effective when you are 2 people or more. So you could definitely take a taxi, an Uber or a Lyft. But I caution you, when you do get to the cruise terminal, sometimes you are going to have some shady characters that are going to pretend to be Uber or taxi drivers. So make sure that you use the official Uber or Lyft app or go to the official taxi lane. Cruise parking tip. Now, if you're like me and sometimes you park at the cruise terminal for a cruise, this tip is going to help you out because what happens? Well, on embarkation day, oftentimes we're so excited to get to the cruise port, we finally find a spot on that 5 or 6 level parking garage. We leave the car, get all of our stuff, and on disembarkation day, we get to the parking garage and we say, oh my gosh, where did I park? So when you park, make sure that you take a photo of the parking level, of your parking spot, and even of the parking garage, because usually these are going to have numbers. Sometimes what happens is your cruise ship may actually dock at a different terminal. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened to us over the years. at least 5 times. So this can happen, and you want to know which parking garage you're actually parked in to make sure that you find your car easily on the last day of your cruise. What to do if you lose your cruise card? You guessed it. This is something that happened to me. After breakfast, we were in the line getting off the cruise ship, and I took a look and I could no longer find my cruise card. So I guess I probably left it on the table at the buffet. In any case, I was really worried. I didn't know what would happen. And when we got to security, because I was already very close, I gave them my name and my cabin number. They were able to look me up and find my security photo and check me out that way. So that is a little tip in case that ever happens to you. Have a passport. Now, while passports are not required on all cruise ships for US citizens, there are some reasons nowadays that it might be a good idea. One of them is because disembarkation is actually going to be faster and easier if you have a passport, because many cruise terminals now have facial recognition. And this means that you don't have to show identification to anybody or talk to an officer. Usually all you'll have to do is look up at the camera and go. And in our experience, the expedited disembarkation process is making that last day so much less stressful. Now, I'll leave all of the information about the LifeWell Cruise Ultimate Cruise Planner linked down below in the description of this video, but I do want to hear from you. Please let me know any of your disembarkation day tips that have worked for you, especially recently, and let me know any of the questions that you may have as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.